What's up, everybody? How we all doing today on this fine Tuesday evening in October 21st, in the year of our Lord,
Correct.
2025?
Correct.
How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football Podcast. This is week 8, love, hate. How we doing? If you're asking me, I'm not doing all that great. Got a 2-5 record right now, but it's okay. We're still rolling. We're doing what we can. We're here to once again go over interesting statistics and data points for you for all of everything that's happened in week 7. We're here to get the ball rolling and get you guys primed for Bi-Mageddon of week 8. There's a lot of teams on bye, and it's not a lot of fun if you got these guys on your roster and you're like me, you're trying to make a push for the playoffs, even though you won't be able to do very much when you get in there. This is a feast or famine time right now, ladies and gentlemen. But it's okay. We got a jam-packed episode like we always do. We're going to run through a bunch of topics for you. Most importantly, though, before we get rolling, like we always do, we have to please remind our loyal listeners, that's you guys. It's you guys listening right now. You guys that listen to us every single week. Please don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or X as the kids call it nowadays. Follow us for your weekly fantasy football breakdowns. We're here all season, guys. Doesn't matter if it's week 8. We're here all season. Send us your waiver questions. Send us your sit start questions. Send us your trade proposal questions. Don't forget, the trade deadline is right around the corner. And if you got to make that move to put you in the fantasy football playoffs, or maybe you just need to make that move to shore up a position on your team that's not as strong as you would like it to be, send it over. Send it over to us. We got a little group chat going on. We talk to each other on the daily. We know what's going on. We'll give you good advice, we promise. But you never know. You're never going to know until you ask. So send us those trade questions right now. We'll give you guys the answers that you've been dying to get. But before we get that ball rolling, really want to thank everybody for listening in. It's been a great journey so far. We're 8 weeks in. We're going to be here for another 8 weeks or so. With that being said, I think it's time for the opening drive.
Pew, pew, pew. That's a
Pew!
good sound effect. I like it. I like it a lot. And it is
Pew,
time for
pew.
the Week 8 Green 18 Week 8 opening drive, target
Omaha!
and rush
Omaha!
share report, committee backfields, and wide receiver rooms in flux. We begin with the divisional laborer with Rashee Rice being back in the fold. So the Chiefs wasted no time getting Rashee Rice involved after suspension. 28.6% target share on only 19 routes run out of 35 dropbacks. He went 7 for 43 for 2 touchdowns. Behind him, we saw Brashard Smith with a 14% target share, Worthy and Hollywood Brown with 11%, Kelce only 9%. Rice's ADOT, average depth of target, was at 4.3 yards. So very short area, high volume looks. Brashard Smith went 5 for 42. All of those came at the line of scrimmage from a passing perspective. He's starting to eat into Pacheco and Hunt's touches, so I'd be very wary of that. I think the key takeaway here is Rice and Smith could possibly be the key to the Chiefs in the underneath game. Hollywood Brown, to me, is unplayable. He's owned in 44% of rosters. He should be dropped immediately. And I'd be worried of Kelce losing underneath touches with a Rice back and Brashard Smith in the fold as well. Moving on, very promising signs for Travis Hunter this week. He finally hit. He went 8 for 101 and a touchdown. If you look at his snap shares over the last 4 weeks, 57, 65, 79, 86%. Meanwhile, you look on the other end, you have Brian Thomas Jr. He's leading the league in drops. He's only played 68% of the snaps in week 7 versus the Rams. He's really struggling with going over the middle and catching balls, and the chemistry with Trevor Lawrence has not been there. If you go back to Hunter, I don't know about you guys, but I've seen him being dropped everywhere, including the Bush League Huddle in our Bush League Huddle Fantasy Football League. He's been dropped multiple times as well. I think that stops now. He's earned a roster spot in your rosters. The Jaguars are on bye in week 8, and I think he is coming with a vengeance as the number 1 wide receiver in Jacksonville. Now we're going to move on to some backfields to forget. So we have the Titans. I was a big promoter of Tyjae Spears taking over Tony Pollard as the main back with the regime change in Brian Callahan being out at Tennessee. If you look at week 7 versus the Pats, Pollard played 7 more snaps and ran 7 more routes than Spears. In week 6, it was the flip side. Spears had more routes and more snaps. Titans right now have no identity on offense. Cam Ward has looked worse every week. Spears routinely has been the better back, even though he's been injured. And even if you go back to last year at the end of the year, Spears has looked at like the better back, but they don't play him. It's a backfield to avoid at all costs. This is one in the Texans now, moving forward to another backfield to forget. This is one that I have near and dear as a Woody Marks and Nick Chubb owner. But Woody Marks actually tipped the cake in week 7 over Chubb. If you look at his stats in week 7 versus the Seahawks, Woody Marks had 61% snap share, 10 carries, 10 of the 15 running back carries. He ran 20 routes for 5 targets. He did have 35 yards and a late game touchdown, 12.5 fantasy points, and RB16 on the week. On the flip side, Chubb went 5 carries for 16 yards and only played 18 snaps. So again, this is one that's going to be very hard to predict. Looks like it's a back and forth situation on a weekly basis. Another backfield to avoid if you can. And then before we hit some quick hitters on the opening drive, we have the weekly Dowdle and Hubbard watch, a true 50-50 split this week. So in terms of snaps, Dowdle versus Hubbard, it was 38-33 Dowdle. Routes 11-9 Dowdle. Rush share 55-45% Dowdle as well. Dowdle went 17 carries for 79 yards at 4.6 average. Hubbard 14 carries for 31 yards. So clearly Rico Dowdle was the more effective back. It was still a 50-50 split. From a points perspective, no one scored touchdowns, but obviously Dowdle had more of the yardage share. I think the key takeaway here is they're going to keep splitting touches. It was literally one player playing one series, and then it was the other one playing the next series after. I think if you own both, try to maybe trade one of them. If you're an owner who owns Dowdle, another one owns another one, it's hard to not sit either one because they're both two talented backs. And then finally, some quick hitters. I want to talk about Jordan Addison. He's been at 100 receiving yards in 2 of the last 3 games. He's actually outscored Justin Jefferson in 6 out of the last 11 games. He's a bona fide WR2 with defenses clearly blanketing JJ. Then you have Trevion Henderson, whose running back snap share has gone down over the last 3 weeks from 48 to 29 to 14% in week 7. Ramondre has clearly reestablished himself as the guy for the Titans. We're going to move on to Jameson Williams. I'm calling it right now. He's completely unplayable. 5 games under 7 fantasy points. Lions have completely embraced themselves being a running team. And really, it's just Amon-Ra St. Brown being the guy. Even Sam Laporta is hard to trust as well. Some good news from Chris Olave. I think he should be in lineups every week. 7+ targets in 6 of the past 7 games this year. 27 points versus the Bears, 2 touchdowns. And Rattler has been able to establish 2 to 3 guys in Juwan Johnson, Chris Olave, and even Rashid Shaheed here and there. And then finally, we talked a little bit about Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker III last week. Charbonnet had 2 touchdowns this week. He got most of the goal line work again and over 50% of the snaps. Like we said last week, we think this will start moving towards Walker next week after the bye. But if it doesn't, I think this is an area where you're going to have to either avoid this backfield or take Walker at a loss at some point. And that's all we have for the opening drive. Trend and usage report for week 7. Nak, please take us home with week 8 love-hate.
Well done, Raj. Well done. And I just one quick question before we get into the love-hate section here. Trevion Henderson, is he droppable at this point with the usage being so bad and them not wanting to use him?
I don't think so. I think that's early. But there was also some like after the game stuff about how Mike Vrabel was congratulating another. I don't remember his name, but there was another running back that even got more work than Trevion Henderson during the Titans game. And there was a lot of stuff on Twitter about how Henderson might be 3rd on that running back depth chart. The guy's name escapes me, but I just don't think you drop a guy that they know they're high on and that they picked in the 2nd round. I think he's a hold for now.
Interesting. It's saying that with the upcoming 6-team buys that leading into week 8, your rosters might be crowded, and that might be one of the difficult decisions some of us will have to make. But on to the love-hate for week 8. So it's time to go over all of our love-hate picks from last week. But before that, we will highlight, like we mentioned, or Fab alluded to at the beginning, it is Bi-Mageddon this week with 6 teams on bye. we have the Cardinals, Lions, Jaguars, Raiders, Rams, and Seahawks. So a lot of solid fantasy players within those teams. We'll go through our record of last week. We went a solid and very healthy 10-5 last week. So
let's
very, very
go.
nice, boys. Our overall record for the year is now 53, 46, and 2. So that is definitely trending in the right direction. Fab, you had wins with Tez Johnson, Kishon Booty, and
Booty.
also the hate of Travis Kelce. I think Raj alluded to it before. His snap share is way down, or his target share, should I say. But you did lose on a hate for Devontae Smith and your boy Wan'Dale Robinson, unfortunately, who continues to be impressive.
I'm very happy with the loss on that hate for Wan'Dale.
Do I get credit for the Devonta Smith hate?
You do. We will give you your flowers. You did mention that every time you want to bench him, he's going to go off, and went off. He did. So,
can I just, for the remainder of the season, how would you guys feel about just putting Devontae Smith as a firm love? Just so that we can give Lucas a little bit of acid for the rest of the season. Because we do know that after that, if he is a love every single week, he does not perform. Lucas, if you're listening, we really do appreciate you. We really do.
I benched him in another league. I didn't even follow my advice.
Wow.
No,
well, you definitely paid the price for that one.
Yep.
Raj, you were the big winner over last week, going 4-1, hitting on loves for Ramondre Stevenson, Woody Marks, and Cade Otton. Also hit on the hate for Breece Hall. That Jets offense is just in complete disarray right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you did lose on the hate for Bam Knight. I believe he did score a touchdown.
No, he was above his projection, I don't think he was above. He was very low. I think he was like at 9 points. So
no, he hit his projection.
Oh, he did. Oh,
yeah. He did. He did definitely hit his projection.
Well.
I went 3-2. Hit on the love of Mr. Aaron Rodgers, almost 30-point game on Thursday night in a heartbreaking loss. Also hit on the hates of Tua Tagovailoa. I don't even think he had 1 point. I think he finished with 0.7, depending on what your scoring league is. And the hate of Mac Jones. I did lose out on a love for Sam Darnold. They had a tricky night last night, even though they did win. He had 1 touchdown, but was fairly ineffective for the rest of the game, and lost on the aforementioned Tyler Higbee tight end love. Got a lot of flack for that one.
It looked good early.
Yeah, it did.
Really good early.
Parkinson. Then they went to Parkinson instead.
Yeah.
So,
it's a shame,
she is what she is. What can you do? We move on. What was that?
You're going to pick a tight end rank in the 40s this week to help you out, or are you going to?
Here we go. How much was Tez Johnson projected last week?
Okay,
we'll carry on.
Tez
Johnson went off, man.
He was a flex. He's a flex.
Hey, Tyler Higbee could have been. It
Tyler
could have gone either way. It went to Parkinson's. I'm sorry. I got the wrong tight end, okay? I got the wrong tight end.
At some point, I was really excited for you because they kept throwing... I think Higbee's 84 and Parkinson's 89. And like, I didn't...
the reverse. Higbee's 89.
Okay, yeah. So either way, well, exactly. I was like, oh, nice, Knack. You're going to show us, right? It's like, it's just Parkinson.
It's all good. I went for a dart throw at the tight end position. I really thought he was going to be, and then obviously Devontae Adams had to have 3 touchdowns to himself, so that didn't help the situation.
Yeah.
But without further ado, let's kick off our love hates for the upcoming Week 8 Bi-Mageddon. Fab, why don't you start us off with some QBs you love and hate this week?
Yes, absolutely. So again, it's Bi-Mageddon, so this list is going to be a little bit more interesting than it is in weeks past with all the QBs that are on bye. But my first love for this week,
Patrick Mahomes.
No, Jordan Love actually. Jordan Love at Pittsburgh. So if you take out the game versus a rookie playing for the Browns, the Steelers have allowed opposing quarterbacks to score on average 25 points per game. So it seems to be a better matchup than people realize, and Love has played pretty well this season so far. He's currently ranked outside of QB1 status, so right now he's going as about QB13. But for me, he's a must start in all formats. Doesn't hurt also that Pittsburgh are actually very tough against the run. meaning Love will probably have to throw it early and often. So I think you can comfortably fire him up and enjoy some top 10 returns. I like Love quite a bit this week versus Pittsburgh.
I love that Love.
Yeah, that's going to make for some nice YouTube thumbnails. Loving Love.
Love that Love versus
love.
Pittsburgh. That yeah. Yeah, but Pittsburgh though, I mean, are we out on Pittsburgh? Honestly, for the remainder of the year,
the defense, yeah. Say it, nah. Come on, don't be quiet.
It. Come on,
love of God, man.
Are we happy honestly, with that?
Their scheming? Though. Their scheming has been. It's just the lack of like adapting in game. Like you tried to play man coverage against Chase and Higgins. It burned you in the first half, and then they kept playing man against Chase, and they just continued to be burned in the second half. So
if the Steelers are one and done again in the playoffs, like at one point, like is Mike Tomlin ever going to be on the hot seat? You think?
For he'll never get fired, and he just signed a 3-year deal. No, so I think he has 2 after this year. There's no way they'll fire him. If he decides to leave, that's one thing, but then they will never fire him, which is a shame.
I mean, it's just continuous mediocrity, right? I think we can all agree on that. Anyways, so Jordan Love at Pittsburgh, definitely strong start, ladies and gentlemen. Put him in your lineups. Be confident about it, and then tell me about it at the end of the week about how good he did. So my next love is, now this is a spicy one. We got Tyrod Taylor at Cincinnati, and this is what Bi-Mageddon does to us, ladies and gentlemen. So it was announced earlier today that Tyrod Taylor will assume the starting role of the New York Jets, and his first opponent, it's fantasy football gold in the Cincinnati Bengals. They're giving up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. They've allowed at least 15 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks, so that's the floor. 15 fantasy points per game. So it's not a flashy start. I'm not going to tell you that, start him over a bunch of other guys. No, it's not a flashy start, but there's a ton of value here, especially considering Tyrod is a proven vet who does one thing that Justin Fields can't do, according to Woody Johnson: get completions. He's ranked as QB 20 for week 8. I think he's worth a start in 2 QB leagues if you're desperate with buys and injuries. I think he's definitely worth consideration, considering the tough week that's ahead right now, and if you're dealing with a lot of other QB injuries that exist too.
I am not touching anything Jets for the foreseeable future.
It's totally fine. Hey, this is a spicy take. I said it first. This is completely matchup dependent. And Tyrod...
The matchup is great.
I think we can all agree that Tyrod is a much safer option than Justin Fields.
I don't know about that.
I think Justin Fields needs to ask for his release.
I agree.
After what Woody Johnson said.
I agree. Yeah, that's...
there is nothing worse.
That was pretty brutal.
That was like bad. Jerry Jones-esque.
Yeah, that was...
but like, even
can we at least complete a pass?
Yeah, I know.
That was pretty bad.
Complete a pass?
Brutal.
Yeah.
Thank you for your loves, Fab. Who do you hate this week?
Oh, we're gonna keep it rolling with the spicy takes. We got Drake Maye versus Cleveland. So yes, Drake Maye is ranked QB 7 this week. He's been balling out all year, but I don't like this matchup, and I expect Drake Maye to struggle a little bit. Cleveland surrendered the 5th least fantasy points to quarterbacks, 5th least passing yards, 2nd least amount of rushing yards to quarterbacks, for a total of 47 yards on the season. So typically, Drake Maye has a very nice floor as a rushing quarterback. You guys keep on laughing. It's fine. I think that's going to be a little bit of race versus Cleveland. I do think he's going to have a decent game. It's Drake Maye after all. He's having a heck of a year. But I think he'll finish more as a QB2 than a QB1. And apart from Lamar Jackson, that lit up Cleveland for 255 yards and 4 touchdowns back in week 2, no QB has come close to those numbers or even broke the 20-point threshold. And those include names like Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Burrow. I don't think it can be assumed that Drake Maye is going to go off this week. I think he will have a tough matchup versus Cleveland. Again, I'm not saying to bench him, but as a QB7 this week, I do have a little bit of trepidations as to how he's going to finish. And I think he does finish outside the top 12.
Okay. Definitely spicy.
Give me someone. Is there someone in Fantasy Pros ranking that, like I have in one league, I have Maye and Herbert. Herbert's playing Minnesota
on Thursday.
Herbert's playing Minnesota on Thursday.
Oh, sorry. Herbert. Yeah, Herbert's playing Minnesota on Thursday. Yes.
Yeah. No, you could definitely make an argument to start Herbert over Drake Maye. You can definitely make that argument. Minnesota's actually pretty good. It's a pretty good matchup for Herbert. It's also matchup depending too, right? Like Herbert actually has a pretty good matchup. Caleb Williams at Baltimore, you can make an argument. I mean, Daniel Jones playing out of his mind in Tennessee doesn't necessarily scare you. Yeah, it's
like looking at the stats, like you're not. It's not as outlandish as you're saying. Caleb Williams,
they put top QBs on their ass. I think it needs to be said.
Definitely spicy.
Yeah,
definitely it is spicy. Definitely spicy. Listen, Aaron Rodgers last week.
Did you have some lamb vindaloo for supper?
No, actually, I haven't had supper yet. It's 9:00 at night. You know how I do on Tuesday nights, guys. I put the pod first and I put supper second, guys. Come on. You know how it is. You know how it is. Thank God I have a wonderful wife that loves me and appreciates the commitment I have to fantasy football, even though I'm 2-5. Just saying, boys. Just saying. This is not a matchup to take lightly. Jared Goff threw 2 touchdowns against him. He only scored 15 fantasy points.
Okay.
Jared Goff has bricks for legs, though.
Yeah. He also he rushed 0 times for 0 yards.
Makes sense. Who's your second hate for this week?
Well, Lamar Jackson week 2 went rushed twice for 13 yards. I'm just saying it.
I thought you were going to say Lamar Jackson, like
Lamar Jackson. No, Lamar Jackson, obviously. CJ Stroud versus San Francisco. So we got bad offensive line play. We got Nico Collins in concussion protocol with a short-ish week, so I don't think he's going to clear it in time. But regardless of that, ever since CJ sort of big broed Caleb last year in week 2, it's been famine more than it has been feasts for the Texans. I saw that the other day on Twitter, and I was like, wow, it's true. He's just hard to trust. Niners D don't petrify you. They give up the 13th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks, and quarterbacks on average score less than 16 points, but it's a tough matchup all the same. And if the Texans are playing catch-up, I think Stroud was going to end up on the wrong side of completions, i.e. interceptions. Consensus rank right now is QB 17. If he can, I think he's riding my bench. If I have better options for him in a 2-quarterback league or super flex league, he's riding my bench.
So who would you start ahead of him?
Honestly, you guys are going to think I'm nuts. You're going to think I'm absolutely nuts. Well, behind him right now is Tyrod Taylor. Obviously, he's one of my loves. Any San Francisco quarterback, I would start over CJ Stroud. Like I know Houston's a tough defense there, but I much prefer that.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that, man.
They find ways to win.
The Houston defense played really well against. Like they kept them in the game.
That's what their strong suit is.
Yeah,
right?
They kept them in the game yesterday.
They gave Darnold fits yesterday.
Yeah, they did. But Brock Purdy and or Mac Jones have been playing very well in that offense, despite having a lot of their top end guys missing. And when you have CMC being that motor now, because I'm sure you're aware of right now, like it does allow for a lot of mistakes to be forgotten when you're with that quarterback in your offense. I think I mentioned Tyrod Taylor, Spencer Rattler versus Tampa. That could be a shootout too. That's always interesting. He's ranked as quarterback 19. It's just considerations to make right now.
I don't hate the Rattler one.
Rattler's been solid, man.
Yeah, except for last week, he turned the ball over a bit too much. But
Rattler hasn't been getting the respect he deserves. I find he's been very, very solid this year. Yeah, very, very solid.
Thank you, Fab, for your QB love and hate for Week 8.
You're welcome.
I will keep this. What?
I said you're welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
I will keep this ball rolling with the love hates for the running backs this week. So first running back I have is going to be Tyler Allgeier. Allgeier?
Yeah.
Running back 28 versus the Dolphins. So with 6 teams on bye, you'll have to get a little bit creative with your flex spots. And yes, I know Bijan Robinson is still alive and still the alpha in that backfield, but Allgeier somehow finds the end zone every other week, and that gives him real flex value. The Falcons face a struggling Dolphins defense that's getting gassed on the ground, and that could easily be this could easily be a game where Atlanta jumps up ahead early and gives Bijan some rest, letting Allgeier handle more of the workload. So with the upcoming buys, I think he's a solid flex play going into the weekend.
A fantastic call.
Yeah, I agree with this call a lot, especially considering the fact that Miami is like a Swiss cheese defense. So after Bijan rushes 2 times for 174 yards, you can see Tyler Allgeier definitely making the start.
And also, like, the Falcons are sometimes just weird with the way, like, they'll just sit Bijan for like long stretches of the game. Like,
but that's what I'm saying.
I never understand it.
It happens every second game. I feel because if you look at Allgeier, like he scores and he's got those double-digit fantasy games every second game, and then like last week was 1 point, didn't touch the ball. And the week before, 12 points. So I think this is the week where once again he finds the end zone. They could possibly both find the end zone in this matchup.
Yep.
Second love for the week is going to be Kyle Monangai. Monangai.
Oh, that is. I'm not even going to attempt.
Definitely the first one.
Monangai.
Yep. Definitely that one.
Kyle Monangai. Consensus RB34 at the Ravens. So the 7th round rookie has quietly earned a bigger role in the past 3 weeks, topping it off with 15 touches for 94 yards and a score in week 7. I think his snap share has gone from, if I'm not mistaken, it was 28, 37, and like 54.
45,
or 45, excuse me, last week. So, and excuse me, and he did find the end zone. And Ben Johnson seems to be implementing that familiar 2-back system he used in Detroit, with Swift playing the Gibbs role and Monangai playing as Montgomery. So we all know how deadly that tandem was. So I expect touches to keep trending toward that 50-50 split. So another flex option as well going into the weekend. And I'm starting these two guys over the likes of Tyjae Spears, who's running back 28, Kenneth Gainwell, Nick Chubb at RB31, and even obviously Trevion Henderson at RB37. I think these two are great options to get into your flex if you're struggling with the buys.
He's firmly replaced Roschon Johnson.
Yes.
Is he even still there?
Yeah, he's still there. But Monangai was someone who was talked about a lot early in the year. And what's actually surprising me is how well DeAndre Swift has played.
Well,
same.
It's and I think they're using him the right way. They're not trying to pound him into being like a lead back, which is not what he is.
But he always had that opportunity. I felt like it was so much untapped talent with him. I remember when he played for Philly that 1 year, right, where he just went ham. And I felt like there was just so much more meat on the bone for DeAndre Swift.
Well, I think Philly, it's like maybe not this year with the offensive line issues, but Philly, you don't really need to be a back with vision. Like the holes are just gaping.
They're there, yeah.
They're just there, and that's been the issue with Swift. Is he bounces too much? He doesn't trust the holes. He doesn't have the great vision. And I think they've made some nice changes at the offensive line. Like they brought in 3 Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney, and I think that's really helped them.
Chicago,
the running game. Chicago, yeah.
Well, that was the first thing that they took care of in the offseason was that they shored up the offensive line. They knew it was a need, and they took care of that right away.
Yep.
Yeah, you could just see the Ben Johnson DNA starting to form in this offense week in and week out, and I think they were just kind of breaking him in, right? 7th round rookie, kind of just easing him into the fold, and now they see that he could handle a heavier workload. So I think they're going to have a closer split going forward. So those are my loves for the week. My hates this week. First one is going to be Tony Pollard, running back 25 at the Browns. So it's becoming a trend and not a fun one. Pollard's fantasy day was saved last week by 6 receptions, but I don't see him getting that kind of volume again. And the Colts defense allows just 3 catches per game to running backs and hasn't allowed more than 77 rushing yards to a single running back as well, and has given up only 4 total touchdowns to the positions through 6 weeks. So I definitely cannot trust Pollard even as a flex play in week 8.
Well, it's a good thing I'm starting him as my RB2 then.
Oh my God. You must have better options, dude.
That's pretty
I do not have better options because my entire team is injured, Roger.
Yeah, Yeah, and that Titans. I know you mentioned it earlier, Raj, but that Titans team is just, my God, that offense is really putrid right
and
now.
I'll be for the first to say I thought they were going to be better. If you guys, I'm sure you guys remember.
I recall,
especially you, Nak, who keeps
you were high on Cam
keeps
Ward.
receipts.
You were high on Cam
I was very high on Cam Ward. I thought he'd have a Jameis Winston type statistical season, and that is not the case. He's had some Will Levis type of play.
Yeah, he's not been great. And then with Will Levis potentially coming back next year, not a good sign. Second running back that I hate this week is going to be Kimani Vidal, consensus RB20 versus the Vikings on Thursday Night Football. So if you were one of the guys that picked up Vidal a couple weeks ago and started him after his Week 6 breakout, he was playing the Dolphins, you were probably disappointed. And sure, he's still operating as the lead back, but like I said, that big performance against the Miami defense that can't stop anyone. My nonna can run for yards on that Miami D.
Wow.
For those who don't know what nonna is grandmother. Yes, my grandmother could run through that D. Sorry, Guido and Stamati. So the Chargers' offensive line is still in shambles. They might get Joe Alt back, but their 156 line combinations on the season, give or take. Now they have to face a tough Vikings front, so I avoid the situation and definitely look elsewhere. I know, like I said, people have been tough to find on with bye weeks, but RB20 is way too rich for my blood in this matchup.
He has the likes of Ramondre Stevenson against Cleveland, Krosky Merritt against KC. Hubbard and Dowdle have a really good matchup. Buffalo's run D has been really bad. Mm-hmm. Do you like any of those?
Both of them. I would start both Hubbard or Dowdle over Vidal.
Yeah,
they just have more. Look, that offensive line. Like I said, it just been so many bad combinations, and that one game really threw everyone.
It really
did. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, we got to and whoever didn't pick him up, and if he was still on the wire, he went for a lot of money, and you were definitely left disappointed after last week."
Yeah.
Would you start Allgeier over Vidal?
100%. Allgeier, what did we say? RB28.
RB28.
Yeah, I think I would. Plus, this is a short week or two, right? So Thursday night football games are always wonky. There's always something, and I don't see this as a good spot for him to succeed this week.
I like it.
That'll do it for my love and hate on the running backs. Raj, how about you give us some receivers you love and hate this week?
Yeah, again, continuing the theme with Bi-Mageddon, it's tough sledding this week. So the first wide receiver I love. So I'm gonna put insert Packers wide receiver versus the Steelers in the Aaron Rodgers revenge game, and I will give an answer shortly. But first of all, the reason why the Packers wide receivers. Steelers are 30th in explosive play rate allowed. They're 31st in passing yards per game allowed, and they're giving up the 4th most fantasy points to wide receivers. Fab mentioned it. He has Jordan Love as a love. I fully agree with that as well and fully endorse that. This is one of the highest paid defenses in the league and have been overrated all season. Now, which wide receiver do I start between Romeo Doubs and Matthew Golden? I'm going to spin a wheel, but first, the tail of the tape. So Doubs is wide receiver consensus 25. He has target shares of 34 and 28 the last 2 weeks, and he's the leading yard getter. Matthew Golden has looked very explosive, has looked very good in the early part of the game. He had 3 targets in the first quarter versus Arizona, but he only had 1 in the second half. And there's been a lot of talk in Twitter in Packers land about how they need to get the ball to Matthew Golden much more. So I'm literally spinning a wheel, guys. Like I'm because I don't know how to do this with Packer wide receivers. I'm gonna go with Golden.
I like Golden this week. Speedster for sure. They're first. I mean, the fourth most is kind of skewed since they gave up 60 points last week to Chase and Higgins, but they tend to give up. And on prime time like this, I think I like Golden more than Doubs.
It's very hard to choose between a Packer wide receiver.
Yeah.
On a weekly basis.
Yeah. I think they want to get Golden more involved, though. That's what I just like you get a higher.
They're not showing it though.
Yeah, I know.
And they picked him. They picked him in the first round, 20th. You know, there was all the stuff about how he's the first Packers wide receiver that was taken in the first round. You know, in like over 20 years. And again, Doubs is wide receiver 25 this week over Golden, who's wide receiver 29. But if you look where Golden is around, like there's Kendrick Bourne after him. There's Juwan Jennings. You know, Nico Collins again, concussion, wide receiver 32. Surprised how low George Pickens is, but I think if there's a week for him to kind of go off, it's that week with the Steelers defense being as poor as it's been.
Is Christian Watson back?
Christian Watson is going to be activated soon from the pup. Yeah, there was chances that it was going to be in week 7. I don't TBD if it's week
in practice.
Yeah,
they said that if he's upgraded to full, he might make his debut on Sunday.
And Jaden Reed is back in a few weeks from the collarbone, so it's and Dontavian Wicks is still there. It's going to be very difficult to choose a Packer wide receiver. So as someone who has Golden, if he has a big game, I would sell him right after.
Good call.
I'm telling that to you guys. I know you won't want Golden, but whatever for other listeners. No. Second wide receiver.
I have Romeo Doubs. I don't want any of them.
Here we go.
I got my own damn problems with wide receiver. I got Romeo Doubs. Why couldn't you spin the wheel again? Call him for a love. Jeez, you had to spin a wheel?
I did, man. It's that hard.
Man. Just kick me while I'm down over here.
God. That was good, Fab. Second wide receiver, I love. Let's see if Nak gives me shit about this one. Sorry, I swore there, but anyways. Alec Pierce, wide receiver 33 versus the Titans. Alec Pierce might be the best downfield wide receiver in the NFL this year. 21-yard average depth of target. He had 248 air yards on his 10 targets week 7 versus the Chargers. He didn't connect for 248, but they threw it so deep, it was almost for 300 yards, the length of 3 football fields. He went 5 of 98 and caught 2 beautiful long passes from Daniel Jones in that game. He faces a Titans defense where he went 4 for 67 against in week 3. With 6 teams on bye, I think Pierce is a very solid WR3 or flex against a very bad team, even if Josh Downs is back. He is taken over from Josh Downs' position, and he's showing that he's not just a deep threat. He's also able to be an intermediate player.
Well, taken over as a stretch. I mean, the week before when Doubs was there, he only saw 4 targets, 2 catches. Downs, excuse me, 4 targets, 2 catches, 48 yards. So you're right about the depth of target. He is definitely catching more of the long ball, but I think it brings him down a little bit if Josh Doubs is in
Downs.
There. Downs. Why do I keep saying Josh Doubs? I meant Downs.
You really want us to answer that question?
Turning into Fab here for some reason.
I like Alec Pierce as a player, and I like him this week. Wide receivers I hate. So first wide receiver I hate, Zay Flowers at WR 14 versus the Bears. To me, that's utterly
14.
laughable.
14.
Yeah, that's high. That's exactly what I said. One of the most inconsistent wide receivers in the league. He hasn't topped 80 yards since week 1. Lamar Jackson didn't practice Monday. I'm not sure if he's practiced Tuesday or not, but not looking good so far. Even if he does play, it's still he's been injured for a few weeks now. And even with what is an unsettling QB room, the Bears have also given up the 9th fewest points to wide. Sorry, they've given up the 9th most fantasy points to wide receivers this year, but they've given up the 2nd fewest receptions. And what is the knock on Zay Flowers, guys? He doesn't score touchdowns. 9 touchdowns in 2.5 seasons. So he's allergic to the end zone. The Bears don't allow a lot of passes. I don't like this matchup at all. Wide receiver 14 is preposterous for him. He is crazy. Going above the likes of, they've actually bumped him up to the wide receiver 12. He's going over the likes of Vlad McConkey, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Tatoya McMillan, Waddle, goodness. Diggs. That's way too high for him just because criminal. They think that Jackson's back.
That's criminal.
Yeah.
Great call.
And then the second wide receiver I hate is Quentin Johnson, wide receiver 18 versus Minnesota. This should be a doozy Thursday Night Football game. If you look at the Chargers wide receiver corps over the last 2 weeks, so from a target share and first read share perspective, Ladd McConkey is first, Keenan Allen is second, Aronde Gadsden is third, Quentin Johnson is fourth. Quentin Johnson has a 9% target share in the last 2 weeks and a 9.7% first read share in that same time frame. And guys, what do the Vikings defense do better than anyone else in the league? They blitz the QB at the second highest rate at 39%. And we know that the Chargers on their third string O-line, they've had injuries galore. To me, this is a recipe for Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey and even Aronde Gadsden, who all three average three fewer yards per target than Johnson, to have big games underneath. I think Johnson is relegated to more of a decoy role against Minnesota.
Yeah, until that line gets healthy, Herbert doesn't have enough time to get him down the field. It's super tough. But Alt might be back. They're hopeful he's back on Thursday night, so that would be a huge boost. But nope, I like this call as well.
Tough to trust right now. I agree. Tough to trust, especially at that ranking.
Too many mouths to feed.
Yeah, too many mouths to feed.
And McConkey's back.
Yep.
Thank you, Raj, for the wide receivers. Fab, why don't you give us a tight end that you love or hate this week?
I got to love, actually. I got to love for Evan Engram versus Dallas. So 4 straight games of 4 receptions or more, 6+ targets in all those games, and over 40 yards receiving in his last 2. Those numbers don't jump off the page, but ever since his week 3 injury absence, his target share has gone from an average of 16% to 23% in the last 4 weeks, peaking at 29 in week 6. He also ran a route on 66% of his plays last week, which is the highest of the year. So Denver faced Dallas this week, and we all know how great their pass defense is. It's actually not great. And coming in as ranked as tight end 14, I think he deserves to be in your lineups over guys are ranked ahead of him like Kyle Pitts, Hunter Henry, and even Zach Ertz. He's a star for me this week. I like this matchup. I like the ascension that he's had in the last few weeks and how you really seen him become more part of the offense, excuse me. And I think it's a great matchup. I think he deserves to start.
I like it. Raj, what about you? You love or hate tight end?
Yeah, I hate, unfortunately, my boy from the Giants, Theo Johnson. He's been doing quite well, but he's facing an Eagles D that is 4th best against tight ends. And the last time Johnson played the Eagles, he caught only 2 passes for 27 yards in the Thursday night win against the Eagles. So I see him having a hard time again with that linebacking core led by Zach Bond.
Very nice. Very nice. I will end off with a tight end love. It's going to be my boy, Pat Freiermuth, consensus tight end 30 versus the Packers.
We could not get by without a Steeler today.
Nope, could not.
This has been a Steelers podcast.
Too excited. I'm going to be at the game. I'm just too excited. Moo.
So lead with that. Say that. Get the listeners engaged. They just think you're a psycho with all your Steelers stuff, calling out every single Steelers fan. Just lead that. We knew over here. Come on, Knack. You got to do better than that. Guys, Knack is going to the football game on Sunday.
Lead with that.
I'm going to the football game on Sunday. So, after a quiet start to the season, or a huge quiet start to the season, Freiermuth finally broke out, playing 65% of the snaps, and that was up from 36 and 28 in the prior 2 games, posting season highs across the board with 6 targets, 5 receptions, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That did come against the Bengals team giving up the most fantasy points to tight ends, but he now faces a Packers defense that gives up the second most points to tight ends and just gave up 10 catches, 74 yards, and 2 scores to Trey McBride last week. So I think the Steelers have finally realized that they need to get Pat Freiermuth involved and what he can do. So definitely locked and loaded. I think tight end 30 is a joke. And I'm starting him over the likes of Juwan Johnson, who's going as tight end 20, Mark Andrews, tight end 16, and even TJ Hawkinson, tight end 15.
I like the call. Is this also a bump for Jonnu Smith as well? Because he got in the end zone last week too, if I'm not mistaken.
All the tight ends got into the end zone last week. Freiermuth got in twice, Jonnu Smith got in once, and Darnell Washington also got in once.
So basically, if you have a Steelers tight end.
Yeah, I just like it. They said it last week that they were going to get him going. they did it. So I'm just gonna keep trusting the process. And I think, like I said, he's the more dynamic of all of all three of them. I feel, or just looks better even when he's running with the ball. I don't know. Jonnu Smith doesn't look like he did last year, even when he's catching shorter passes. So I think I like Pat Freiermuth to keep it going.
I think Pat
Freiermuth. I don't trust Arthur Smith to scheme up consistently for tight ends, as we saw what he did with our friend Mr. Kyle Pitts.
Oh, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Roger, you can't have your disdain for Kyle Pitts hold you for the rest of your life.
No, but you gotta move on at some point. There's that. There's also the fact that look, it's the Bengals last week. You know, everyone eats against the Bengals, and Aaron Rodgers has never been a guy who locks into one specific tight end. He always locks into 3 tight ends in the team, like it was John Kuhn or Robert freaking Tonyan. So if he does it again this week, I'll firmly believe he's the tight end one. But I feel like it's hard. I feel it's a bit hard to trust. They flip flop a lot. I feel.
Yeah. Well, look, they all got into they were all at least top 15 for sure last week in the rankings. All 3 of them. So.
Plus, I think Freiermuth plays more snaps than Jonnu Smith and the other one.
Well, he did.
Yes, but I feel like he's just more involved in the offense from an 11 personnel standpoint, right? I think he is the number 1 tight end. He is there all the time. So I do like, if I had to choose one tight end on the Steelers team that would break out of their projection, it would be Pat Freiermuth.
Question, Knack.
No, this is not a bad call. I like this call.
Question, Knack. What's his projected points this week?
4.
Let me see.
Sorry, 4.2. 4.2. I'm kidding.
I'm be honest over here. Everyone's ripping me for fantasy points over here for tight end 30. You can't be that high. 6.05. But again, I noticed that these change after the waiver wire on Tuesday night. Yes. So maybe check back on these are like still from last week. The
projections go through updates like daily up until even up until it starts, right?
But the biggest change happens, I feel, after the waivers, and like all of them will change, like in consequence.
Very true. Very, very true.
Well, that'll do it for another episode of the Bush League Huddle. Those are our loves and hates for Week 8. Like the Fab said at the beginning, please send us all your questions. Start, sit, love, hate, your trade inquiries. We will answer all of your questions. And hopefully we could help you out this week to win your matchups. Raj, cue the music.
They don't have to send us any sit-start questions for Pittsburgh tight ends because you just start them all, right? Is that it? Start every single
one?
What's
going on?
What is it? What it's?
I just see.
I can't wait till he beats all 32 teams on Sunday. I can't wait till he beats all 32 teams.
Your mic was blocking everything. It just said Rotters.
So if he beats hold on, if he beats Green Bay, he has beaten all 32 teams?
All 32 teams, yeah, and this is the first time he plays them.
Wow. Let's go Micah Parsons. Let's go Micah Parsons. Who said that? Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Peace out.
Bye.